Hello viewers, thank you for tuning into Anglican Cable Network Nigeria. I am Angela Wenze. Romans chapter 12 verse 1 says, "Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship." From this scripture, we are admonished to present our bodies as living, healthy, strong sacrifice to God. This lets us know that we have the responsibility of ensuring that the body we offer to God is healthy, pleasing, and ready for His use. On this note, I welcome you to Health Watch, a weekly program that will educate viewers on different health-related issues and how to prevent them. It will enable you, our viewers, to appreciate your body and its place in the service of God. Furthermore, this program will encourage viewers to embrace healthy living and appreciate prevention over curative, as well as bring healing to those that are sick in their bodies and mind through knowledge and prayer. After the break, we shall introduce our topic and guest for the program today. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
On the program this week, our Bible reading is taken from John chapter 15 verse 5, which says, "I am the vine, ye are the branches. Whoever abideth in me and I in him, the same."
Welcome back. In a recent global survey of 1,000 corporations across 15 countries, it was found that the levels of workplace stress have risen over the last 2 years. The survey found 6 in 10 workers in significant global economies experienced increased workplace stress. These heightened stress levels were costing world economies billions of dollars in lost productivity and health-related problems. One of the most important aspects of reducing the stress levels of employees was in assisting them to develop a healthy work-life balance. Today, we shall be discussing the topic stress management. To discuss this topic with me today is Dr. Ajakpo. He is a medical doctor with a private hospital in Abuja. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming. How are you doing?
Very fine, very fine.
So it's good to have you on ACNN. So today we're going to be discussing stress? Is stress a major problem to start with?
Yes, stress is a major problem in our society. In fact, about 90% of visits to the hospital are usually stress related. Well, we don't usually know that a lot of disease conditions are also due to stress, have been associated with stress. So it's a major problem. And it's good that we talk about it.
Yeah, that's a good one, because when I was reading out when I was talking about in the introduction, I was talking about how it costs companies a lot of money, because sometimes they just keep treating things, not knowing that it's actually just stress. But okay, now what is stress?
Okay, thank you very much. Stress can be said to be the pressures of life. Now, it's not just the pressures of life, but also how a person perceives those pressures, how a person believes those pressures, how a person reacts to those pressures, and how a person is able to cope with them. Okay. So when those pressures and the ability of someone to adjust, so some people call it an adjustment disorder. When there are changes and you find it difficult to adjust, it could be stress related. So majorly pressures of life and how a person perceives, reacts, believes, and is able to cope with them.
I like the fact that you're talking about the way the person perceives it, because I think I was watching something somewhere and they said the problem is not the stress, but the way you react to the stress.
The way you react to it.
Now, what are okay, first of all, let me find out, is it peculiar with any particular sex, male, female, or does it just balance, or do you think with your years of experience?
No, it's not peculiar. Stress does not respect anyone.
Okay.
It doesn't matter your age. Children have been found to be stressed. Elderly people have been found to be stressed. It doesn't respect your race. It doesn't respect your sex. It doesn't respect your financial status. You could be very rich.
A rich man can
You could be very rich and you could break down with stress. You could be a poor person and you could still have stress. And it also doesn't respect your religion. It cuts across board. So there are some diseases that are peculiar to certain groups of people. But stress cuts across board.
So as a medical doctor now, you just sit down and a rich man walks in and he says, "Doctor, I am stressed." I can imagine what you were telling him.
It can occur that way. But even people could come up with a condition, even an infection, and it could be related to stress. It could be due to a depression of their immune system. When their immune system has dropped due to stress, they could break down with certain kinds of infections, boils, and different other kinds of infections. So the person might not walk in saying, "I have stress." Yeah. That's normal. People do that. But also, people could come in with problems that you can now relate to stress and then try to control that, which now helps them at the end of the day.
Okay, I think the next question now is that what would you say causes stress? Because it says person's response to the environment. But what kind of things will make somebody go into stress?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say we need to understand that there's acute stress and chronic stress.
Okay.
And not only that, yes. So a lot of times we could come up with there's what we call the normal stress, eustress. There's a man called Hans Seil. He's said to be the founder of stress, and he actually came up with a term, eustress, which is like the normal stress.
The one everybody goes through.
Yes, so. And it's normal. Even just exercising, you could come up with a bit of pressure. So you need to be able to cope with that. So those kind of little stress are understandable, and we all go through that. We need to be able to control that. But when it now becomes a problem, is when it becomes negative, when it's more chronic, long term.
Okay.
So for you to talk about the causes of stress, there are the external causes and there are the internal causes.
Okay, before you go into the external and internal, you said negative stress. You mean there's positive stress?
Well, positive stress, when I talk about the normal stress, eustress, you need a little dose of stress.
You need spur you on.
Yes.
Sometimes,
For example, Steve Jobs.
Yes, of course.
He actually was kicked out of his company, Apple. He founded the company, grew it to a certain level, but boardroom politics and all that, and he got kicked out of the company. Wow. And he went through a lot of stress. But he turned it around. He was able to turn that into a positive.
That spurred him into...
spurred him into something else. And then he was able to build a new company, which he called Pixar, and went into animations. And through that, his former company had to call him back and reappoint him.
So in that case...
So yes, so it can be turned around. If you use it positively, it can turn around and become something that is positive rather than being a negative.
So the negative one will then be the one that...
Yes, and that's when we now talk about external stressors, and we talk about internal stressors. External...
So take stressors to be what
causes stress. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Stressors are what's said to be the cause of stress. So it's very important that we understand what leads to our own stress. So if you can understand that, then you can be able to find a solution to it.
Okay.
So when we talk about external stressors, we talk about, for example, things from outside that affect us. So it could be
economy.
Economy. Especially in Nigeria today.
Economy.
So that could be a major challenge. You were earning certain amount previously. The economy switches over. Even someone as huge as Dangote had a shrink. You get in figures, and then you find out that other people who were earning little amounts, it becomes insignificant. So that alone can squeeze people and result in stress. So financial issues can be an external cause of stress. Light can be an external cause of stress. Some people might not be able to do well with light. They want to sleep at night. You put on the lights.
Okay.
Can affect certain people.
I thought that would be normal for everybody.
Well, no, but there are certain people who love to sleep with light. And even in different other situations, light can also be a problem. Even when people want to rest and all of that, it can be a problem. Noise can also be an external cause of stress coming from outside into the body. So people who live close to maybe a club, and people are jamming parties and all of that, or even a religious organization, and maybe the speakers are so loud and all of that, that could also be a problem. So yes, then even colleagues at work, rude behaviors, that can also be a problem.
Terrible bosses.
Terrible bosses.
Bosses that are very understanding.
Yes, and then even someone who loses a partner, or loses someone, that can also be an external. So anything from outside that can lead to you having pressures that you need to now be able to cope with, that can be an external source. So people understanding that is very key to understanding stress. Yes, then internal stressors, we talk about little things like pessimistic thinking, negative about self-criticism. They keep criticizing themselves, talking.
That's a big one, where people just expect too much. Maybe people expecting too much from
themselves,
or you're expecting too much from yourself.
Yes, and you keep on beating yourself. You're doing well. You're a human being. You to get into this world, you had to go through a huge struggle.
Sometimes I feel that's peculiar with men. The men, especially when you're not meeting up with responsibilities, and
that's true.
You start thinking, oh, I failed, I'm not a man. Then you have those scriptures that say, if you can't feed your family, you're worse than an infidel.
That's true.
And then the person starts feeling it's not meeting up.
That's true. So self-criticism can be a problem, and people need to be aware of that so that they can know how to react and cope with it. It's very important. And then negative self-talk and so many other negativity inside can also come out and result in stress. So those are external and internal stressors.
Another one is like words that people say to you, maybe from parents, or telling you you're not useful, can generate things in people. Well, now that's all the issues that bring about stress. Okay, first of all, I was going to ask a question. Is there anything like stress-induced ailment, like stress-induced malaria, stress-induced typhoid, stress-induced? I keep hearing that word.
Not directly. That's, as I said earlier, a lot of disease conditions can be associated with stress.
Okay.
So we won't necessarily call it stress-induced malaria directly, but due to inability to function properly.
Yeah.
So that's, and when one now breaks down with stress, that can result in those disease conditions. So as I said earlier, a person could be stressed, and that can reduce the person's immunity. And when yes, and when the person's immunity drops, the person can break down with infections. That's a very simple explanation of how it works. Some people are stressed and it results in raised blood pressure. They come down with hypertension, which goes ahead to cause maybe heart failure or a kidney problem over time. So the initial problem was the stress. Long term can cause so many other challenges along the way. Some people are even stressed, they go into eating and break down with even diabetes.
Yeah.
So there's so many ways by which stress can result in disease conditions.
Wow, that's a lot of problems stress gives. That's quite disturbing, because sometimes you just walk around and say, oh, I'm stressed. But really, if you know what stress is, you know that's not just a playful word that you... Now, I always like to know, of course, no ailment comes in suddenly, or no stress, I don't think, comes suddenly. It's over a period of time. What are those first symptoms you start to notice that should tell you that, oh, something is going on here? There's something going on here. Because some people don't even know that the problem is as a result of stress. They just think, oh, they keep popping it, medicine and all that. They don't realize that. So what are those early signs before we go to major signs, when you are in a peculiar case? What are those early signs that somebody would look at and say, oh, I'm drifting in that direction?
Well, what I would say is there are manifestations of stress, which are still the signs you're talking about, the ways by which stress can manifest. And once you're able to understand and pick them, it doesn't matter how it's going to come out. Some people, it could be through an emotional manifestation. Some, it could be through a mental manifestation. But whichever manifestation that presents itself, once you're able to understand that particular manifestation, you will know that, okay, I am becoming stressed, or I'm stressed already. So for example, there are physical manifestations. Some people are fatigued. They get so tired.
Okay, what do you mean fatigued? Okay, you just get tired. In the morning you wake up and you're tired already.
They're just tired. They can't do much. They just feel, you will know when you're just tired. That can be a manifestation of stress. And if you're aware, you can know that, okay, it seems as if I'm becoming stressed, and then you can now take certain measures to be able to control that. It could be insomnia. Some people can't sleep well. That alone can be a manifestation of stress. Some people have body aches. You find that you're having body aches all over your body. What's happening?
They just keep taking paracetamol.
Thank you. Headaches, even the headaches we have. It could be the body telling you that, come on, something is going on. It's not necessarily, oh, you have malaria and all of that. You could do a little, you could drink some water, you could rest a little bit, you could take a nap. Some of those things could already help in relieving stress. So there are a lot of manifestations that come out. Some people, their blood pressures rise. Some people feel their hearts beating very fast. And then there are mental manifestations as well. Some people start losing concentration. Forgetting things, memory loss.
You hold your key and you're looking for your key.
I'm telling you. So that could be a manifestation of stress. Some other people become indecisive. Take a decision, they can't anymore.
Wow.
So that can be a manifestation of stress. Rather, take a step back, relax, and then you could come back later to take that decision. But if you don't know that, you could just rush into circumstances, and then the stress continues. Some people have emotional manifestations of stress. They get angry.
Well, I know that one.
Throwing tantrums. Some people are even afraid. Fear. You might not know it, but fear could be worry. anxiety, they become anxious. Those are little manifestations that one can present emotionally. And if you are aware, you could know that, come on, why am I being afraid of this? Maybe I'm a little bit stressed. And you could take a break and come back. And you find out you could attend whatever you were supposed to do. You could do it flawlessly. And then some people have behavioral manifestations as well. Okay. Some start eating a lot.
Of course, it get big and
thank you. Some don't eat again. They just lock up and they're begging and they just don't want to anymore. That can be a problem as well. Some people go into drinking, which is very common. They go into drinking alcohol and think that by making themselves wet and all of that, they would be able to get off whatever was bothering them. But that can be a manifestation of stress.
It's looking like that's the basic thing you see around you every day. So, because if you're seeing this around you, then everybody, if you're looking at that guy is stressed, he's drinking, he's stressed. You know, that's how it's looking like. But there has to be a point, isn't it, when it becomes excessive, or it's when you notice you just start doing what you don't normally do? Will that be when you start saying? Because what I mean is, if you're somebody that normally in the evenings you go and hang out with friends, or you're somebody that generally you're like that, isn't it when you start shifting from the normal way you do it to more of it, or shouting more?
Partially, yes, you have a point. You have a point. It could. If you're someone who drinks casually with friends, that's different. But some people find out they start sitting, taking 3-4 bottles. They were not doing that previously. Yes, they just start. And even some people who drink normally, it becomes excessive. Wow. They can't do without some of those things. So if you are aware, that's why I said awareness is very key. And if you are aware, you can know that, okay, something is wrong here. This is not right. Why am I eating this way? Why am I doing this particular thing? Why am I biting my nails? Okay. Why am I trembling? Those little things. Right, yeah. When you're aware, you can pick some of those signs and say, okay, it seems I'm getting stressed. Let me take a step back. And then you could make some changes that can now help.
Okay. We'll talk about the changes, the things you need to do to start dealing with the issue, or managing the stress, because I don't think you can completely treat it. Maybe you can, but when we get to that. Now, for children, do you get younger people that complain of being stressed? And if they are, how would parents, identify that my child, because if your child is a teenager, I wonder what, you would think that there's nothing to stress about, but I don't know, I think there's something going on now that they're all getting stressed. I don't know if you see such cases in the hospital.
Well, a few come in that way. But I think one way to be able to pick that will be to if you know the norm. There should be a norm, and there would be the abnormal. So when you notice those little abnormal behaviors setting in, little abnormal behaviors start to set in. People children who were not throwing tantrums, who were not getting angry, start slamming doors, little things like that. You could be able to realize that something is going on, and then sit with your child and have a conversation. And try to walk things around, because children are reflections of their parents, and the way you mold, the way you build them up is going to go a long way. So if you are able to sit down, have those little conversations with them, try to solve those problems. Children who cry, you find out they're crying, they are afraid, they don't want to associate with others. Little things like that. You could pick some of those abnormal behaviors that were not actually there previously, and by that you can now know, okay, something's going on. And then when you sit and talk, you can find out, okay, this is the reason why this child is acting this way.
So it's not now pointing the back at the child, you silly boy, you're not behaving like normal children.
Why are you not confident? What is wrong with you? No.
Just be.
It could be the child is afraid due to something. It could be due to the child did not study well for an exam. So that can result in stress, and that can make.
Even when it's exam time, everybody will go. That one can be good when you're you're preparing for an exam.
For exams, yes. But being able to pick those little things at home can help one pick up children who are stressed and then be able to come in, have conversations, find ways of working out plans with them, timing and all of that. And it'll go a long way to solve their problems.
So, like, for example, I'm just imagining you in your consulting room, and then somebody walks in. Before, okay, we've talked about the emotional. Do you see any physical sign in somebody that could tell you that, oh, instantly when the person walks in, whatever this person complains about, it could just be something like it's been stressed, or it's as a result of stress, as any physical symptoms that you notice in the person?
Yeah, it's yeah. So some people walk in, you can tell by looking at them that there are challenges, there are problems. They look like someone who hasn't slept for days.
Harassed.
Yes, really, really harassed. And some people who have had conflicts, it shows that yes, there's a problem. Some people have, well, the unkept look, their hair, and all of that. So it's you can't pick up one or two things from looking at them, and then by the time, even the way they walk in, can walk in and fall in on your, just fall on your chair, and you can pick some of those things, and then through conversations, when you ask questions, you can now be able to pick in details and understand that, okay, this is the problem.
Okay, because I know some people, after talking to them, and then they let out a lot of things, it really helps them. That's why I was talking about the male and female, because you think the women talk more about their problems. Maybe to an extent it helps in some. But let's talk about finding help now, which is really important. At what point should somebody? Is it at every point you go to the doctor? Because I know they're clinical psychologists, they're doctors you go to meet who are good at doing these things. Is it at every point that you go to the doctor, or until you're going really mad, then you go to meet the doctor and say, oh, doctor, I think I'm having this issue? At what point does somebody then have to go and see a doctor, or do seek help to start with?
What I would say is, if we all understand and we're able to manage our stress, we won't really have that need to frequently go to the hospital.
Okay.
But when you find out you have tried the basic norms and you're still having problems, then I think it's important that you see a doctor.
Okay.
So you could, that's why, as I said, you have a headache, you could try to rest.
Okay.
Try to drink some water, take time off and see what happens. Try to draw back from what you were doing and see. Reduce the work timing and all of that. Sleep, maybe you're not sleeping well. So those little things might help a little bit. But when you find out that you've done them and there still is no change, then it's very important that you see the doctor. Yes.
So what kind of help? Okay, generally, of course, you've identified the stress. Let's say somebody that, what's the basic now? Somebody, let me talk for a young person, someone that's heartbroken. That's a stressful condition. Thank you. A very stressful condition.
Yes.
Most people, different people, would deal with it differently. Some people might talk about it, some people might keep quiet about it. What's the best approach? Because I know that's very emotional, because inside the person is really going down and down and down, and is really not talking. But some people talk easily. So whichever the case, whether it's people that talk much or those that keep it inside, what is the best approach to? Of course, you've identified that this is your problem.
Well, we are social beings. That's who we are. We were created to interact.
Okay.
We're not created to be isolated. That's why it's even a problem when you notice somebody who wants to be alone. It can show signs of even a mental problem. So
if you're an introvert.
No, you can be an introvert, but there are certain people who start to withdraw from society. They want to stay on their own. Yes, they want to lock themselves up. They're not doing anything. They're just staying, and all of that. Those are problems, and when you notice that, it's a challenge, but that's on its own. what I'm trying to say now is we are social people. So if you find out, for example, a person has a heartbreak, you could have trusted people. We all should have trusted people that we can interact with. A daughter and her mom. They could be able, there should be that relationship that could be built, trust between the mom and the daughter, so that she can open up. Or a close aunt. There could be someone you can, even a couple who are having issues, there could be a
senior couple.
Yeah, a senior couple you could walk up to and you could say, these are the challenges I'm facing. And then, but as I said, trusted. When I mean trust,
you don't just go and tell them.
Because there are certain people you could tell that can give you certain advice and then you become worse off for it. Yes, so it can make matters worse. So trust means the person is someone who will take decisions, right decisions. So that has to be in that kind of context. So a heartbreak, if the person has those kind of people around, the person can talk and find solutions. Because the thing about a heartbreak is it happens. And time is very essential. It takes time, but with time the person can go over it and get out of it over time. But it will take a process. It could be very short. Some people could be okay, snap in 2-3 days they're done and they're off. Some could take 3 years and they're still on that particular challenge. Yes. So it shouldn't be. No one should be paralyzed because of stressors. You now become paralyzed and you can't do anything. So if you have a social group or a close person, you can relate with that person. And if you find out you do some of those little things and you still do not have will I say answers, solutions, you're still feeling bad, okay, then it will be wise to see a doctor who can now help, or even a psychologist. They can help, they can talk you through it. But I always say, first of all, have a trusted person you can relate with, who can first help you a little bit. But if that fails, you need to see a professional who will now be able to guide you to get out of that situation.
Well, on that note, we'll go on a commercial break and we'll return back. We'll be back in a moment with this discussion. Don't go anywhere. Hello viewers, stress is becoming an unavoidable part of our lives. Sometimes it can be a motivating factor, however, it can also be a terrible problem to battle. Stress and anxiety for a Christian can take on many different shapes and forms. It can be as simple and subtle and ignorable, or as devastating as a full-blown panic attack. Regardless, stress will wear you down physically, emotionally, and spiritually. We need to be armed with a plan for dealing with it. Fortunately, there are many things you can do to minimize and cope with stress. Today, I'll be giving you 7 ideas for handling stress without causing more strain and hassle. Number 1, figure out where the stress is coming from. Oftentimes, when we are stressed, it seems like a big mess with stressors appearing from every angle. Instead of feeling like you're floundering day to day, identify what you're actually stressed about. Is it a specific project at work, an upcoming exam, a dispute with your boss, a heap of laundry, a fight with your family, or state of the economy? By getting specific and pinpointing the stressors in your life, you are one step closer to getting organized and taking action. 2, consider what you can control and work on that. While you can't control what your boss does, or what your in-law says, or the sad state of the economy, you can control how you react, how you accomplish work, how you spend your time, and what you spend your money on. The worst thing for stress is trying to take control over uncontrollable things, because when you inevitably fail, since it's beyond your control, you only get more stressed out and feel helpless. So after you've thought through what is stressing you out, identify the stressors that you can control and determine the best way to take action. Stress can be paralyzing. Doing what is within your power moves you forward and is empowering and is invigorating. Number 3, do what you love. It is so much easier to manage pockets of stress when the rest of your life is filled with activities you love. Even if your job is stress central, you can find one hobby or two that enrich your world. What are you passionate about? If you're not sure, experiment with a variety of activities to find something that is especially meaningful and fulfilling. Number 4, manage your time well. One of the biggest stressors for many people is lack of time. Their to-do list expands while time flies. How often have you wished for more hours in the day or heard others lament their lack of time? But you've got more time than you think. We all have the same 48 hours, and yet there are plenty of people who are dedicated parents and full-time employees and who get at least 7 hours of sleep a night and lead fulfilling lives. Number 5, give yourself a break and get help. Stop beating yourself up. You are human, not super Christian. You live in a fallen world where problems are inevitable. The bottom line, we need to turn to God and to others for help. Now that you have identified the problem, you can take steps to care for yourself and get the appropriate help. If you're not getting enough rest, take time to restore your physical body. Eat a proper diet, get regular exercise, and start learning how to balance work, ministry, family time, and personal time. You may need to find a support system of friends who have been there and understand what you're going through. If you're sick or walking through a loss or tragedy, you may need to step back from your normal responsibility and give yourself a break. In addition, there may be underlying hormonal, chemical, or physiological reasons for your stress. You may need to see a doctor to walk through the causes and cure for your stress. These are all practical ways to regulate stress in our lives, but don't neglect the spiritual side of the matter. Number 6, meditate on the Word of God. The Bible, in fact, is filled with incredible promises from God. Meditating on these words of assurance can drive doubt, fear, and stress. Here are just a few examples of Bible stress relieving verses. 2 Peter chapter 1 verse 3 says, His divine power has given us everything we need for life and godliness through our knowledge of Him who called us by His own glory and goodness. Matthew chapter 11, 28 verse 30, Jesus said, Come to me, all you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Let me teach you, because I am humble and gentle, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke fits perfectly, and the burden I give you is light. John 14:27. I am leaving you with a gift, peace of mind and heart, and the peace I give isn't like the peace the world gives. So don't be troubled or afraid. Number 7, turn to God in prayer and praise. When you're overcome with anxiety, stress, and loss, more than ever, you need to turn to God. He is your ever-present help in times of trouble. The Bible recommends taking everything to Him in prayer. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your heart and mind. A friend once told me he found that it is almost impossible to be stressed and praise God at the same time. When you're stressing, just start praising God. When you praise and worship, we take your mind off ourselves and our problems and refocus them on God. As we begin to praise, suddenly our problem seems small in the light of the largeness of God. Music is also soothing to the soul and can be a great stress reliever. There you have it, 7 tips on how to manage stress. Next time you're feeling stressed, try following this advice and see if your stress doesn't begin to lift. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back with the final segment of this program. Welcome back. Before we went on the break, we were discussing stress management with Dr. Ajakpo, and we'll just carry on. So we're discussing before we left. Now we want to talk about how to manage the stress, because that's of course, you can't cure stress completely. I want to believe that, or can you?
No, it's not possible.
It's not possible. It's always around us. Just like you gave the example of Steve Jobs, who used his stress positively. So, how do you then manage stress?
Okay. The first thing I want people to understand is that the brain is the major interpreter of what is stressful and what is not stressful. So we all go through different kinds of pressures, and we all go through different kinds of circumstances. Okay. How are you perceiving it? How are you interpreting it? If you interpret it as a problem, if you interpret it as being a stressful condition, then that is what will result. So you will now not be able to react positively or react and cope with it adequately. For example, a man who his wife is busy and she begs him to help her, or he needs to change the diapers for the kid in the house.
Okay.
Some men can see that as a stressful event.
To change the diaper?
Yeah, it can. Some men, no way. It's the pressure is not. They can't, and they, by the time they start doing it, they're frowning, squeezing their face, and that alone can cause stress. But someone else might can interpret it that, oh, it's a wonderful thing for me to be able to do this, and it's even normal. I should be doing this with my wife, and
right, okay.
Or even washing plates. Someone can say, oh, God, this is a no-go area for me. And by the time he's doing it, he's squeezing, he's angry, and becomes bitter over. Whereas you can interpret those events as enjoyable. So I'm trying to make us understand that the way we perceive things, different things are going to happen to us. Every day we step out, we walk. We go to work, we enter a cab, we drive to work, we meet a security man on the way, or a law enforcement officer, whatever it is. Our ability to perceive it and interpret it positively is going to go a long way in helping us to manage stress. But the more we interpret things negatively, the more we would find ourselves stuck in stressful situations. So that's the major, will I say, baseline of it. We need to all understand that, so that as we come in contact with certain things, we can be able to switch our thinking to a positive one.
So you should look at is the way you perceive every condition, every situation. That's what determines if it will become. That's very important. I think in the same program I was watching, it says the number 15th killer is your perception of stress. Negative perception of stress is the number 15th global killer. I mean, if you see it, if you take the way you respond to the stress,
and it can pull one into a cycle.
Okay.
It could pull you into a cycle where you could think you have negative thoughts, and then you speak negative words, and then you create negative environment around yourself, an atmosphere. And that results in distress on its own. And that makes you even think more negative thoughts, because you start thinking, oh, why is this happening to me? And then you go back to say more negative things. And then, so you could just be in that vicious negative pool, which you need to come out of, get into, just switch the thoughts. Oh, somebody annoyed you at work. Just give the person the benefit of doubt. Maybe she didn't eat this morning.
Yeah, that's...
Or maybe his wife annoyed him. Let me just allow him, just let him off. And by the time you're able to switch off some of those negative thinking, you'll find out that you fall into the positive circle where you are thinking positively, speaking and saying things that are positive, being in an environment that's positive, and you would be able to relieve stress easily. So it's very important that we do not get caught up in, once we find out we're having those little drops, because they're going to come. Every day we all step out. Even
the weather sometimes, when it's so harsh.
Thank you. Even the sun can result in stress. So, but you being able to understand those little things can make you know that, okay, maybe it's getting too hot, and you pull out or go under the shade, take some water and all of that. So that's like the baseline. Your brain, your ability to interpret things is going to go a long way. Then we we all need to understand. Consciousness, alertness, be sensitive and understand.
Consciousness.
Be alert.
The alertness. Okay, no, sorry. Consciousness, alertness.
Yes, be sensitive, and understand. Now, when I mean understanding, we all need, every one of us needs to understand your duties and your responsibilities. For example, you're at work. There are things that are expected of you. There are responsibilities that you are supposed to meet up with. So you need to understand them. Clarity. You should be at work at 8 o'clock, not 8:30. And if you're at work at 8:30, you're late.
Yeah.
There's a fine or something that comes with that. Or you could lose some money, or you could get a query. So understanding is very key. It makes you know that, okay, I need to get to work at 8 o'clock so that I avoid getting a query or going into my boss's office and then he asks me questions and all of that. Or you need to understand your duties, understand when you're supposed to file in reports.
Okay.
When am I supposed to request for maybe out of stock items? So when you understand all those things, you will be able to meet up with your responsibility, and that will help you to avoid stress.
Yes. That sounds like time management, or it's different. I'm trying to.
Well,
because
it's still part of it, but I'll still get to time management.
Okay.
But it's still part of it. But this is just understand your duties, understand your responsibilities. What's expected of you as a father? There are things that are expected of you as a father, as a husband. There are needs that your wife has. So you need to understand the system. That's the second part. You need to understand the system you are in. So understand your boss, understand even, for example, you're driving. There's a system that says you must put on your seatbelt. It's there. It's cast in stone already. And so you don't put on your seatbelts. There was a time in our nation, people were not using their seatbelts. Yeah. And it caused a lot of stress for a lot of people who got caught with the law enforcement agencies, road safeties, and all of that.
Waste your whole day.
Yes, waste your whole day. You then get in trouble with your boss. Then you're told to go and pay a fine. You now have to go to the bank. You queue up in the bank, and then they tell you the internet is not working and it's down and there's congestion. So you go through all that, and it causes a lot of stress. Why? Because you simply did not understand the system. Understand the rules on ground. So by understanding those little things, that's why a lot of information is needed. Yeah. It's needed. We need to gather information. Also, we need to understand who we are as people. Understand yourself.
Okay. So you're understanding the system.
Understand your responsibility and your duties. Understand yourself. Okay. So a student who understands his or her method of operating will know that, okay, I need to read every day. Whereas some other students need to read closer, well, maybe once a week. Yeah. Or a student might know that, okay, I'm so good with pictures, while another student has to listen clearly to understand. So it all varies, but when you do understand your own self, and some people can read better at night.
Yeah.
Some people read better during the day. And so if someone who reads better during who reads better in the daytime is stuck at night, maybe didn't do what he was supposed to do and has to now start doing night crash programs and all of that, that can lead to stress. So understanding is very key. Understand yourself in various ways. You will be able to manage stress properly. Okay. So that's one angle to it. Okay. Now, for stress, I would like to say that, as I said earlier, your attitude is very important.
Your approach.
So I said positive attitude. So I'll take that as number 2. You need to have a positive attitude at all times. Think positively, and if you do that, you would find out that for example, some people wake up and someone else is doing well and you're angry, you're bitter, you're thinking, oh, why is that person that person got the job, that person had this, why is that person's not working? Yes, envy. So all of that has a part to play and can keep on weighing people down, resulting in huge challenges. So it's very important that we stay in a positive cycle. Let's be patient, your own time will come.
Of course.
Yes, so recognizing all of that, being positive at all times, trying our best. When a thought comes in, we can be able to, yes,
put it aside. If it's going to stress me, it's not going to stress me. Okay, it's going to stress me. Now
yes.
I don't think about it.
So it's very important we do that. Stay positive. Someone gets you upset, be positive. You can be able to avoid that. Then also time management, very important as well. For managing stress, we need to manage our time and we need to be disciplined as well. So if we manage our time properly, it will go a long way in averting a lot of stress. When you're supposed to sleep. Time to get up. Don't say, okay, let me take 1 hour extra. Then you now get into a situation where you're rushing, you miss your boss, so you get into all those. But when you're supposed to get up. Manage, you plan your day ahead. Maybe plan the night before if you can. You could be flexible, but make sure you're able to get your plan in place, write things out that you want to do. Yeah. If you set goals,
kind of,
yes,
set your target.
And I know women are very good at that. How that
helps.
Maybe because the market runs and all of that. But that's very key. Putting all those things down and then have your goals, set your goals, set your targets, plan, all of that. So it's very important. Time management, manage your time properly. Learn to say no when no is no.
Very important, because people don't struggle with that. A lot of people struggle with that. Say no when you need to, because you feel if you say no, they will think you don't care or you're not nice. But if you can't do it, you can't do it.
You can't. If you can't meet an appointment, then just say no. But when you now take up that responsibility, you already had something you're supposed to do, and then you now get into it. Yes. So that now becomes a big problem. Then be as disciplined as possible and define situations. Get definitions for situations and know what is what. As in, for example, you have a relationship with a colleague at work. Define it clearly. Let there be rules. But some people get into circumstances, get into relationships outside their home and all of that, and then get into mix-up, a child out of wedlock, and stress, another circle of. So just define whatever it is. Stealing is stealing. It is stealing. So let's not don't put bloodlines and wave it here or there. So let's define situations, be disciplined as well. It will go a long way in helping. So then after that, I would like to point out that exercise is very important.
Good one.
Exercise is very important. We need it will help.
Particularly just taking walks or jogging or just
aerobics, taking walks. Anything that's going to help you to breathe better, more oxygen in your body, very important. They all go a long way in helping you to function better. And the better the capacity of your body to carry oxygen, the better your weight.
Okay. Yeah, to the exercise part, which means that would mean if you take walks outside, people go to the gym, sometimes it's a bit enclosed, so you don't take in a lot of oxygen. Well, that's taking a walk outside
could be better, but the circumstances.
Some places you can.
Like for example, you can't tell someone who lives in an environment that's not so conducive, and then you say go and jog, and then they kidnap the person.
Of course.
So you can't do that. It has to be within your own context. So if the gym is okay for you, fine. If you need to jog in your bedroom, like Mandela, he used to jog in the prison, in the prison cell, and he did that for many years. So if it doesn't matter your own context, wherever you find yourself, just make sure you try to exercise regularly. Move. We are made to move. Move your body. Yes, not the normal sitting and stagnant way we operate.
Yeah, because you go from you get into the car. In most part of the world, you get into the car. Then when you're with the AC, then you come down, you walk into the office, you sit all day, then you get back into the car, no movement.
Even through the lift and all that. So it doesn't really help. And then we need to sleep. We don't take it, we take that for granted, and it's terrible. We need adequate sleep.
What's the number of hours? What's the
7 to 8?
7 to 8 hours.
Yeah, adequate sleep. Sleep. When it's time to sleep, sleep. Get your laptop off the bed. Get
Your
every other
phone.
thing. Get your
Get
phone.
the phones off.
Yes,
Get
and
all the-
sleep.
yeah, sleep.
Get good sleep. Find a way to. I don't know. It's challenging in modern era. I won't lie to you. It's very challenging. Some people run 2-3 jobs
yeah.
to meet up. Some people work late. Different kinds of things, but you have to find a way around it. That's why I said you need to be conscious, you need to be alert, sensitive, so that when you understanding is key. You understand your own situation and yourself. You can now know, okay, this is what I need to do, so that you can find ways to ensure that you sleep. Some people work night, get home in the daytime. They continue, they watch a movie, they start working, doing something, and they just go on and on till evening. And then they get back to their office, and they say their eyes are heavy and they're sleepy and all of that. And then they get into problems and stressful situations. So they even make mistakes, as we said. They can't concentrate.
You can't concentrate. Of course, if you don't sleep well.
Or they're a security guard and they sleep off on duty, and so many other things. So if they understand themselves, they know that, okay, I've gotten home, take a meal, get into bed, switch off the light if possible, have a period, you know that, okay, I need to sleep, and then sleep, have adequate sleep. And then when you've rested properly, it goes a long way, even for restoration of your body, cells in the body. So it goes a long way to make us stay healthy and relieve stress. So
sleep is important. I think I like the sleep part. Because if you notice that sleep is a struggle, then maybe you should start seeing a doctor.
Definitely.
So when you're noticing that, I just can't sleep.
Definitely. Once you notice you can't sleep, you're having insomnia, you should see a doctor. Once you've tried and you can't, no.
Don't just.
But you see, it's good you first of all walk around things. Check what could be the cause of this. Are things working out right? Are you worried about something? So if there's something you're worried about, then work on that particular thing. Find a way to work around it. If somebody is making you upset, your husband comes home late at night, or comes home in the morning around 4 a.m. or whatever it is, and you're upset, and then that makes you can't sleep well. Going to see a doctor for that,
it's not, of course.
So you know there's a problem already. Go and attack that problem. Find a way to work it out.
Okay.
Whatever it's going to take, whatever you need to do, discussions, prayer, whatever you need to do, work around that and find a solution. Once you find a solution to that problem, you find out you can sleep once again. Or someone's owing you money, find a solution to that, and that can help. Can go a long way too.
Well, when you go to meet the person for your money and the person says, I don't have the money, I need it. Well, somehow money is not everything most of the time. You can just leave it and go to bed and get some rest. Maybe when you wake up, you find a way to get some more money.
Then also you your diet is also important.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Any special food? People say just take lots of sugar so that you're very hyper.
No, that's not good.
Yeah, that's not
so good. Let's all try to have a balanced diet.
Okay.
And hygienic diet. We should eat. Some people just, I don't know how to put it. They eat out, and they know the place is terrible. Yes, but they still go ahead. Maybe because of circumstances or whatever it is. But you can talk to the person. You notice someone cleans her nose and serves you food. Why not talk to her? Why not tell her that, see, madam, this is not right? Or rats are running around in the restaurant. Talk to the person. It doesn't take any. Those are the responsibilities we all have. Talk to the person about it. But let us have a balanced diet. It goes a long way. When we do have a balanced diet, we take vegetables,
fruits.
We take fruits. We take adequate water, because when we're dehydrated, it can lead to stress.
The physical
headaches and
break down.
So it's important that we also then reduce sugar. We all need to reduce our sugar.
Not the other way around.
Not the other way.
Let me take lots of
sugar, maybe to help you feel better.
Help me feel better, but you just go up and crash
again. So we should reduce. We should reduce that.
Okay, just quickly, we're rounding up now. Now, how can we help people? If you notice somebody that's going through a stressful condition, how can, like in the church environment or in the workplace, How can you help people that are going
Wait,
through?
I also like to say, right, we need to breathe. People need to breathe from the diaphragm. Try to relax. Yeah, so it helps. Try to meditate, try to relax. Some people, we don't relax. We're not calm. Get into that quiet moment.
Okay.
It helps you to refocus.
Okay.
And work things out. But for your question, you said how can we
help other people?
Help other people.
I'll just have just 30 seconds.
Okay, as I said earlier, we all need to have enough information. So get the information to them. Let them know these challenges. And then when you notice people have those signs, you can now interfere. Come in and help them. Find a way to tell them if your husband is getting stressed, you can get the person off, or your wife, get her to go and sleep. You take up the children and lock her. I mean, she can stay in the room or whatever it is. Find ways of going around all those things. And then people who need to see doctors, psychologists, they need to do that so that they can find ways. There are different other ways, and then even medical treatments that might need to come in.
Wow. Now that breathing again, so everybody from the diaphragm and hours, so it actually helps. There's a lot of relief here. That's a good one. Thank you very much, Dr. Nda, for coming. We've learned a lot, and I believe there's so many people that have learned so much from your wealth of knowledge. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And we invite you some other time to give us some more talks on this. All right, viewers, that's the much we can take today. I know you have learned so much from what we have discussed about stress and how to manage stress. Please, after this discussion, just take some time and put these things into practice. And I believe, with the help of God, you will come out of whatever stress you're going through. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for joining us. We'll be back next time with the next episode. My name is Angela Wenze. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.